Welcome to Today's Homeowner with Danny Lipford. Expert advice on improving your home from remodeling contractor Danny Lipford and the home improvement pros from Today's Homeowner magazine.
Hi, I'm Danny Lipford. Here on Today's Homeowner, we've shown you a number of ways to add living space to your home by building a room addition or taking in all or part of your attic space. Well, today we're looking at that area below your home, the basement, and we'll show you a number of things you need to consider if you really want to add some valuable living space to your home by taking in that area that you may be just using for storage. Now, we're in the Boston area looking at a number of basement conversions that we'll show you on this week's show. So stay with us.
Danny, watch your head right here.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. I'm with Paul Sullivan, who's a remodeling contractor here in the Boston area, and we're in one of his customers' homes.
Danny, what we're doing, we're building a three-story addition on the back of this house with a full basement. One of the things we're thinking about is whether or not we want to finish that basement. But if we do, we need to gain the access from the first floor here.
So the stairs are one of the first places you really need to start looking at in your evaluation of your existing space downstairs. Now, here you have to look at a number of things, as you know, Paul, the travel and the rise of the stairs, how wide they are, and here the obvious problem is the headroom.
Our big problem. The rise and run is fine, but the headroom isn't even close.
What about the space above it here? Can we grab a little of this?
No, unfortunately, the stairs that go to the second floor of this house begin right above this. So we have to either move the stairs, maybe turn them 90 degrees, drop a landing, or even consider a 5 or a 6 foot diameter spiral staircase.
Okay, either way, not a very cheap solution.
Definitely not, but it can be done.
Okay, another problem that you face in a basement area like this is the low-hanging pipes.
Danny, this basement is pretty typical of the older homes that we work on. There's plumbing pipes, there's electrical wires, gas pipes, you name it, it's in our way.
Yeah, I can see a lot of this up all over the place. I guess you probably need to get that plumber to drop by.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna need a little help from him. You know, a lot of it's pretty easy to move. The wires can be moved, pushed into a chase. These drain lines tend to cause more of a problem for us because they have to keep the correct pitch and so on.
Right.
The water pipes move pretty easy. The gas pipes move easy, but they're expensive to move.
Yeah, I know all about that. The plumbers, they don't usually drop by for free either, do they?
No, they don't do anything for free.
You know, a lot of these lines can be notched into many of the floor joists, or you can fur down certain areas by lowering the ceiling a bit. And fur down simply means just taking 2x4s or 1x4s and just blocking it down a little to cover a lot of the pipes and wires. But you're really going to have to get creative with what you're grabbing a hold of here, load-bearing area.
This and this plumbing stack as well. Both of these will cause us a problem. The plumbing stack we simply can't move in this particular home. This pipe could move. It'd be a lot of work and a lot of expense, so we'll probably look at either building a pipe chase here or we'll build a closet where they can use the extra space for some additional storage.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, what about water seepage? Anytime you mention basement and converting it into a living area, a lot of people have a little bit of water getting into the basement. I know this is one of the old foundation walls here. Are you finding any problems in this basement?
Well, this particular wall won't give us any problems, Danny, because now with this three-story addition on the back of the house, that's an interior wall. But why don't I show you what we did with the new foundation out back?
All right. Well, this new space is really large.
Yeah, we've added over 600 square feet down here. Well, Danny, I'm not too worried about water infiltration out here. The basement slab is higher than the finished grade is going to be here.
Yeah, I can see the water will just flow right away here, not a problem, but around here I can see a potential problem. Yeah,
absolutely. Up here, we've got a damp proof. We want to try to keep the water away from the foundation wall here. So what we've done is we've taken our foundation wall and put a basement coating, a foundation coating, if you will, right on it. We paint it on with rollers, like a paint roller, right down to the foundation, right down to the footing.
Okay. All right, that's bound to help a lot, but what about the foam here?
The foam, that adds some extra insulation because this wall is above the finished space inside, so that helps with our insulation. It's a 2-inch rigid foam. Once that's applied, then we can backfill against it.
All right, great. Now, how will all this be finished out right in here?
Well, this is going to be great. What we've done is we found some field stones that match the original house foundation. We're just going to cover this wall with the field stone veneer and have it match up to the original.
Oh, that'll be perfect to kind of blend in that old with the new. And
right.
now what about the grade here? I guess after you get the field stone in and before you put the stairs in, you'll actually, divert a lot of this water away with the ground.
Well, yeah, we'll finish off a little of this insulation, clean the grade up, and then we'll have a flight of stairs coming right down here.
Perfect, perfect. Now see, this is a way that you can solve some of the problems that Mother Nature will cause on a basement area. But when we come back in our next segment, we'll show you how we're trying to get Mother Nature's natural light into a basement area. Stay with us.
Get ready to review your Fix-It list as Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine repair and maintenance editor Joe Truini show you this week's simple solution. Brought to you by Dodge.
I've just started painting this room, and I've begun by cutting in near the ceiling along this crown molding. And this is a great opportunity for me to share a couple of painting tips with you.
And you know, painting tips is our most requested simple solution, particularly those involving painting more neatly.
The first tip will show how to make cleanup a lot easier. Now, most professionals prefer to buy expensive brushes and then clean them after every use, where homeowners often prefer to buy less expensive brushes and then just toss them out once they get really dirty. What I've done here is I'll show you a trick that'll make cleanup a lot easier, especially if you're going to be using more expensive brushes. Take a roll of 2-inch masking tape and tear off a strip and wrap it around the paintbrush, allowing it to cover the bristles by about a 1/2 inch or so. Then when you're through painting, all you need to do is peel off the tape, and you'll notice you have a nice clean seam between where the bristles join the ferrule. And if you don't do this, what happens is paint has a tendency to soak down there and get stuck in that groove, and then it gets caked up and it'll chip out the next time you're doing a painting job.
Well, I know how long it takes to clean up brushes. I'm sure that'll make it a lot easier. Now, Joe, there must be something to do with this paper plate here.
Yeah, you're right, Danny. I know this never happens, of course, when you're painting, but occasionally when painting directly from a can with a brush, the paint has a tendency to drip off the rim and run down. Now, if you don't have any way of catching it and you put the can down on a rug or a finished floor, you'll make a mess. So I took some tape and I stuck a paper plate on it, and this way the plate catches any paint that runs down the side of the can.
Now, hopefully, these tips will make the next time you take on a paint job a little neater. Now, there are a lot of obstacles in finishing out a basement, but also a lot of possibilities. Now, we're in another area outside Boston where a basement has recently been completed in this home by Rick Heim of Oakwood Construction. Now, Rick will show us how he's taken an unfinished basement area and created a very unique game room. Well, you know, Rick, that was great having this staircase coming right down from the garage. Usually you're not that lucky on a basement situation.
Yes, Danny. Normally we would have just the one coming from the main floor. We have the one to the garage as well as one to the outside of the house.
Well, that's perfect. Now, what did you find when you first came out and looked at this whole area for the homeowners? I know they were considering, you know, creating this kind of space, but what did you start with?
What we started with, the customer just wanted to convert the basement into an area that their teenagers could come down to and hang out. They needed a place for a pool table, table tennis, as well as a home theater.
I see.
And what we started with was 4 concrete walls, ductwork, drainage pipes, wiring, the traditional things you'd find in your basement.
And like most basements, I understand you ended up with some columns that you very cleverly disguised here, but there's only, looks like 3 columns here, but I understand you eliminated one of them.
Right. We did have a 4th column out here. That needs to accommodate a table tennis area. So what we did is we took the 3 columns that we had left over, boxed them in pine, and attached them with a half wall, which is a great divider between the rooms and the areas, as well as a nice place to lean on.
Yeah, it is. It's a great place to lean on. You've got a place for your wall outlets and switches, that kind of thing. That's really a good way to do it. And in order to eliminate that one column, had a little engineering there to do, I guess.
Yes, what we needed to do is a structural engineer came in, did calculations, and we put a microlam beam that was across that area.
Yeah, opening it up like that really, you know, gives a more spacious feeling in here. But another thing you've done very well is the way you treated the ceiling area, because usually you're trying to obtain as much height as you can in a basement, but I know you had to build down a few areas here for the ductwork and a little bit of drainage.
Right. Boxing and ductwork is always a challenge. What we don't want to do is have a small area of ductwork boxed in where other parts aren't. Try to keep the symmetry, and what we did here is we created a trade area with the 45-degree angles that mimic the bar and the tile below.
Yeah, that's a good detail with having the 45-degree there, 45 here, even the corner here. That's a good attention there to that detail, so real good job. Now, what was your biggest challenge? I mean, you know, in order to try to hide everything, of course, was challenging, but you always have that code issue that's lingering there that's kind of hard to overcome. What was it in this case?
The code issue on this particular basement was a ventilation issue. We had one steel window well that's over in this area, which is approximately 1 foot by 2 foot with an operable area of just 1 square foot, which would cover 150 square feet of habitable area. We have over 600 square feet in this basement, so we needed to make up that natural ventilation. There's a couple ways to do it. You could get more of that size window, which are hard to see out of. We could also get a larger window, or we could go with a more expensive air-to-air exchanger.
Now those can be expensive, what, $3,000 or $4,000?
It could run up to that price, and you still have the problem that you don't have natural light.
Right.
So what we did is we created an area in this place to take care of our natural light as well as our natural ventilation needs.
Well, that's a great window well, the way even the flowers out there and all of that really add to the overall look of it, but it really floods the area with natural light, and that really makes it feel a lot larger.
And it also takes the basement connotation out, because you're outside. In a basement, you feel like you're more or less in a cave.
Right.
Now you're in the outside area.
Yeah. Well, you should be proud of this whole entire area. The craftsmanship is there, and really appreciate you showing us around. And stay with us. After this Best New Product segment, we'll talk with the manufacturer of this particular window well system, and it may turn out to be just the thing you need for your basement. Stay with us.
It's time to check out this week's Best New Product with Danny and today's Homeowner Magazine Editor-in-Chief, Paul Spring. Brought to you by the Home Depot.
You know, there's so many projects around your house that all you need is the right caulking, a good caulking gun to handle those tasks, but there's another way you can do that.
That's the 5-ounce tube, Danny. It's a real good tool for folks who don't do caulking every day, and they end up in that situation where it's important to lay down the perfect bead. A lot more control here.
You know, a good example of that is if you're working in your bathroom and you're trying to caulk around that bathtub where the ceramic tile butts down to it, that's a lot easier to use a tube than a big cumbersome caulking gun.
And for a Best New Product this week, Danny, I've got literally a new twist on the caulking tube. This is from Red Devil. It's called the Easy Squeeze tube, and it's part of their House and Home Restore line. This works just like it would on your toothpaste tube. It's something I know that your spouses ask you to use. It keeps everything neat. You roll it up and literally it dispenses the caulk right out the front in a very steady stream. Also keeps the air out of the tube.
Now I see that this is for sidewalk crack repair, a very specific need. I assume there's a number of different kinds.
There are, Danny. In fact, what they've tried to do is simplify the labels in this case and really identify the project that's involved. So you have everything from tile adhesive to wallpaper repair to sidewalk crack filler. It really allows you to go in. They provided the formulation that's right for the project you have.
And when you're standing in the home center and there's 100 foot of caulking behind you, this will help you make the right decision on the right caulk for your project. Now earlier we saw a very unique window well system that's built by a company called Bilco, and with me is Mike Sawicki, who's going to tell us all about this unique system.
How you doing, Danny?
Doing great.
Doing great today because this contractor did a great landscaping job for us getting this installation prepared.
I know it kind of made it look a little bit better, a little more like home.
That's right.
Now, the obvious benefit from having any kind of window well system is you're able to get a lot of natural light into a basement so that a basement room really doesn't feel like a basement room. What are some of the other advantages?
That's right. The ability with the escape well to put a full-size window in the basement is going to obviously add a tremendous amount of daylight, but the other benefits include ventilation, get fresh air in the basement. Right. You also have the aesthetics of the unit. It's a very attractive unit. The color, the low maintenance of this system, and the terrace step design provides a very nice look from the inside of the home.
I know one that we looked at earlier in the show actually had plants growing here and kind of really gave you an opportunity to plant almost an entire garden, but I know one of the key issues is the fire code issue of being able to escape from a basement room. This addresses that.
That's correct. The name escape well comes from escape, and the system is designed to meet the current code requirements for emergency escape from the basement. In fact, the new International Residential Code mandates that for basement living. So this product will meet those code requirements very nicely.
Okay. Now, as far as installation on this, I guess on a new house like this, it's very simple because no dig out is needed. They basically put it in when they're putting the basement itself in, but on a retrofit situation like we featured earlier in the show, I guess it's nothing more than cutting the hole out, digging the hole, that
That's
sort
right.
of thing.
Just dig out the excavate around the where you're going to put it, and do the cutout and put the unit on.
Okay. Tell our viewers why it's so important to utilize the gravel in a situation like this.
Okay. This is a free draining system. There's no bottom to this, and so we want to tie into the footing drain so we don't have any water collecting in the well. So we've got gravel below the unit and around the unit during the installation.
Okay. Now I understand you have several different ways of keeping someone from falling over into this.
That's right. We've got two different cover options. We've got the polycarbonate dome, and we also have a metal cover grate.
Okay, all right. Now, what about putting this little puzzle together? Is it very hard to interlock all of these units together?
We got a unit out in front. Let's go take a look at it.
Okay, all right, great.
And Danny, this is our smallest size scape well unit, and it's been pre-assembled for the demonstration. The unit does come in components. You've got the two side panels and then the back step panels. For installation, you simply mount the side panels right to the foundation wall at this flange using appropriate masonry anchors, and then you just snap in the back panels. The whole process takes less than half an hour.
Wow, that's great. That's real good. Of course, digging the hole takes a little bit longer than that, right?
Yeah, but half an hour.
Now, see the cover that you have that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, this is the polycarbonate dome, and this is designed for fall protection so somebody doesn't accidentally step in the well, and it also keeps leaves and debris and snow from collecting in the well while letting in, again, a lot of light into the basement.
Now, I know you have several different models, different sizes and so forth, but what would this model cost?
Okay, this unit will retail for approximately $450, and then the dome is going to add an additional $250.
Okay, well, I know it's good and strong, just playing around with it a little bit here and on the sides. What's actually the sides made of?
Okay, well, Scapewell is a very well-engineered product, and I have the cross-section of it here. The outside is high-density polyethylene, which is the same material used in truck bed liners. It's very tough and durable. And then the unit is filled with a structural-grade urethane foam, which gives rigidity and durability to handle soil loads and pressures. And again, this is a low-maintenance product. It's easy to keep clean. You just wipe it off with a common household cleaner. And installations we've got all over the United States, so it handles any type of climate.
Great, great. Well, it's a good product. It's very obvious there, and appreciate you spending a few minutes with us. And stay with us next, our Around the Yard segment.
Now let's go outside for Around the Yard with Danny and lawn and garden expert Barbara Katz. Brought to you by Scott's Lawn Products, for a great lawn, guaranteed.
You know, container planting is very easy, but here's a few tips to make your project a little more successful. Tell us, Barbara.
Well, the first thing you want to do is make sure you take out last year's old potting soil, because it can have a lot of diseases in it. And the next thing is you really got to make absolutely sure you got great drainage. You really don't want to drown these plants. So one thing I could do is put in some landscape fabric to cover over those drainage holes, or you can use some real rough gravel. Just put it there in the base. And then the next thing is really to get some high quality potting soil.
I can do that.
When the container's almost filled with soil, begin placing your plants. Sometimes you'll get two plants in one pot, so just gently tease them apart and you're going to get more bang for your buck. Try to choose plants with different leaves as well as flowers, and see if you can find some color echoes. The vinca has a pink eye, and it just looks great with this pink celosia. The smaller plants should drape around the outer edges. Remember, also, keep turning the container so you can make sure you like what you see from all angles.
And like any new plants, you need to make sure you water them in very thoroughly.
And you know, you have to water these containers every day in the summer. But the main thing to remember with something like this is that there is no right or wrong when you're doing container planting. You should just have a good time doing it, and it's going to bring you enjoyment all through the summer.
Well, I'm glad you joined us this week, and I hope you enjoyed our visit here in the Boston area. Now, you can see there's a lot of opportunities to gain that living area you may need by finishing off that basement. Now, hopefully, we've been able to give you some good information and some great ideas. I'm Danny Lipford. We'll see you next week here on Today's Homeowner.